At a company conference, my sister-in-law mocked, "She's the cheerleader of the team, always smiling, never leading." I smiled back, stayed quiet, and over 5 years tracked every client complaint she covered up. When her leadership review began, she begged me privately, crying, to help her fix it behind the scenes. I promised to see what I could do, then sent the board the final, compiled evidence bundle that buried her career forever. I'm sitting here with a glass of cheap wine and some time on my hands, so I figured I'd finally tell the full story of how I quietly destroyed my sister-in-law's career after years of her treating me like I was less than nothing. This wasn't some heat-of-the-moment thing. This took years. It took patience, cold planning, and a lot of smiling through gritted teeth. But God, was it worth it? I'm 42, female now, but this started when I was about 36. I work for a consulting firm based out of Denver, Colorado. Not one of those shady places that pop up and disappear. We're legit. We work mostly with Fortune 500 clients, helping them streamline operations, rework supply chains, all that stuff. It's not glamorous work, but it pays really well, and I like it. I'm good with people, good with keeping things moving when projects get messy, and clients like me. I'm not the flashy type. I don't brag. I just get stuff done. Enter Natalie, now 38, female. My sister-in-law. Married to my younger brother, Tom. She had bounced around a few companies after getting her MBA from some expensive school I can't even remember the name of. Lots of leadership talk, no actual leadership experience. Somehow, she convinced someone at our company to hire her into a pretty good role, mid-level management. The second she walked through those doors, she acted like she owned the place. She wasn't outright rude to me at first, it was way more sneaky. She'd say things like, "Wow, you've been here how long?" That's some serious loyalty, with a fake laugh, like staying somewhere and being good at your job was embarrassing. I shrugged it off. I had no reason to fight with family. Plus, at the time, I figured she'd either learn some humility or wash out. I was wrong. Every year, the company flies everybody out for a giant conference. That year it was in Scottsdale, Arizona. Big hotel, golf courses, open bars. A real show. It was night 2. We had a mixer out on this beautiful patio, string lights everywhere, a big fire pit going. Everyone was drinking, mingling, trying to network with the higher-ups. Then the COO gets up to give a little off-the-cuff speech. He thanks a few people, shouts out some departments. Then he talks about my team, big congrats to the operations support team. Highest client satisfaction scores again this quarter. He even looked right at me and smiled. I didn't expect it. I just nodded, took a little sip of wine, and kept listening. And that's when Natalie, standing just a few feet away with a group of senior managers, laughed and said, loud and clear, "Well, she's the cheerleader of the team, always smiling, never leading." I heard it. The group heard it. Everyone chuckled awkwardly and looked away. My heart dropped into my stomach. I felt like someone had stripped me naked in front of the whole company. But I didn't show it. I smiled like it was no big deal, mumbled something like, "Guess that's me," and excused myself. I went to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and cried. Not loud, not messy. Just quiet, bitter tears. And then somewhere in the middle of that the anger kicked in. A slow, cold anger. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight her at a hotel bar. I was going to outlast her. I decided right there, I would let her dig her own grave. I would be the one handing her the shovel. After that night, I started paying attention. Before, I had treated Natalie like a family member who was annoying but harmless. Now, I saw her clearly. She was sloppy. She cut corners on projects to meet deadlines. She ignored early warning signs from clients when things weren't going well. She lied bold, stupid lies and trusted that nobody would check the details. Worse, she was mean to people who worked under her. She'd smile in front of the bosses, then rip her team apart behind closed doors. She'd rewrite reports to hide mistakes. She pushed blame onto anyone who couldn't fight back. At first, I told myself maybe it wasn't my business. Maybe she would hang herself eventually. But after what she said at that conference? No. She made it personal. So I started keeping track. Every client complaint she tried to handle quietly, I saved the emails. Every messed up report that got quietly updated after it had already been sent, I downloaded the originals. Every time someone in her department quit suddenly, I noted it. I wasn't flashy. I didn't gossip. I didn't even act like I cared. I just kept smiling, working hard, and listening carefully. By the end of the second year, I had a folder on my home computer labeled Christmas cards. Inside were hundreds of files. Screenshots, emails, call logs. Nothing illegal. Just the kind of things that painted a very ugly picture when you laid them all side by side. Client complaints that she covered up. Budgets she fudged. Employees she bullied into quitting without reporting anything to HR. And I didn't just keep records. I made backups. On USB drives. In a cloud folder only I had access to. Printed copies tucked into a safe deposit box. I wasn't just gathering evidence. I was building an airtight case. I was patient. Very, very patient. Around year 4, the company started pushing for promotions from within. Big changes were coming. They hired a consulting firm to evaluate leadership across all departments. People were whispering about it in the halls. Everyone knew layoffs and promotions were coming. Natalie started getting nervous. She worked late. She scheduled mentoring lunches with senior VPs. She even tried to get closer to me again, complimenting my work in public, acting like we were best friends. I smiled. I thanked her. I let her. Meanwhile, I could tell the walls were closing in on her. Staff turnover in her department was sky high. Client complaints were stacking up. But Natalie kept throwing glitter on everything, pretending it was all fine. She really thought she could fake her way into a VP role. Then came the leadership review. Anonymous feedback. Staff surveys. Performance audits. I kept my mouth shut publicly. Privately, I made sure the people who had been hurt by her knew they had a chance finally to tell the truth. Some of them were scared. I told them, just be honest. That's all you owe anyone. Then one night, 2 months into the review process, there was a knock on my office door. It was Natalie. She looked awful. No makeup. Red, swollen eyes. She stepped inside, shut the door behind her. She started crying immediately. She told me she was in trouble, that people were coming after her, and begged me to help her fix it behind the scenes. Please. You know how this place works. You have to help me. Just smooth it out. You know how much I've worked for this. I acted reluctant. I said, I'll see what I can do. She hugged me and left, thinking she had won me over. That night, I sat down at my kitchen table, poured myself a drink, and opened the Christmas cards folder. It took me 3 nights to compile everything into a neat, devastating package. No emotion. No drama. Just facts, dates, emails, and supporting documents. When I was done, I sent it to the external auditors, the board of directors, and the CEO. Anonymous, of course. No fingerprints. Just truth. Within 2 days of sending the package, the company felt different. There was a chill in the air. Meetings got cancelled last minute. HR started pulling managers into confidential discussions. You could hear the whispers if you listened carefully enough. Then came the email, all hands mandatory meeting for department leadership staff tomorrow at 9 a.m. That's when I knew they had opened the file. Natalie showed up that morning looking like a ghost. No fancy outfit. No fake smile. Just a tight, twisted expression like she was walking into her own funeral. I didn't go to that meeting, I wasn't leadership. But my friend Jenna was. She texted me after, "Bro. It was bad." They confronted her with everything. Emails, complaints, missed KPIs, false reporting. She tried to argue, but they had receipts. Apparently, Natalie had tried to lie her way out at first, saying it was misunderstandings, disgruntled employees, bad apples. But they had too much. Too many patterns. Too many voices. She was suspended pending a full investigation. The begging that night, she called me. Sobbing. Saying it wasn't fair. That people were jealous. That she was a woman in leadership and they were targeting her because of that. I let her talk for a while. Then she dropped it, the real reason she was calling. "You know the board trusts you. You have to tell them it's not as bad as it looks. Please. Please. I'll owe you forever." It was disgusting. She hadn't changed one bit. Even cornered like a rat, she thought charm and promises could save her. I gave a vague answer, "I'll see what I can do." And then I hung up. I didn't sleep that night, but not because I felt guilty. I stayed awake because I couldn't believe how easy it had been in the end. The next few weeks were brutal for Natalie. HR started calling old employees who had quit under her. Clients were interviewed. Files were re-reviewed. Little details she thought she'd buried came back up. One client, a big one based out of Dallas, admitted they had pulled $1 million project because of how she mishandled things. They had complained at the time, but Natalie fixed the report to make it look minor. It wasn't minor. It was negligence. Another former employee, a junior project manager, sent HR a copy of an old email where Natalie had outright ordered him to falsify project completion rates for a quarterly report. There was no defending it. Every stone they turned over had more rot underneath it. Somehow, my brother Tom found out Natalie was under investigation. He called me, frantic. "Can you help her? They're trying to ruin her career." I played dumb. "I don't know all the details." "Sounds serious, though." Tom begged. He said Natalie was depressed, not eating, crying all night. I stayed calm and said, "I'm sorry, Tom. I really am. But I can't fix something I didn't cause." He didn't take it well. He hung up on me. The next week, my parents got involved. They called. They pleaded. They said things like, "She's family. Can't you just smooth it over?" I kept repeating. "I didn't cause this. Natalie did." It caused a huge rift. Christmas that year was ice cold. But I didn't budge. Not for Natalie. Not for anyone. As the investigation dragged on, Natalie started losing it. She showed up at the office once, even though she was technically barred from the building during the investigation. She tried to confront the COO, begging him for one more chance, saying she was set up, threatening lawsuits. Security escorted her out. That was when I knew she was completely done. You don't come back from being dragged out by security. Not in this business. After 3 months of hell for her, the board sent out an internal memo, effective immediately. Natalie, last name, is no longer employed at company. We thank her for her past contributions and wish her well in her future endeavors. It was the coldest goodbye I had ever seen. No severance. No letters of recommendation. No golden parachute. Just gone. Natalie tried spinning it to her network, saying she chose to leave, that she was exploring new opportunities. But in a small industry like ours, the truth spread fast. People knew. Clients knew. Recruiters knew. She was blacklisted without anyone having to say it out loud. After Natalie got fired, things stayed quiet for about 3 months. She disappeared off social media. My brother told my parents they were taking some time to regroup. I figured maybe, finally, she'd gotten the message. I was wrong. One Friday morning, about 6 months after she was fired, an email hit my inbox. Subject line, Natalie, last name, consulting services. She was trying to start her own firm. Her website went live that same week. Glossy photos, fake client testimonials, lots of buzzwords like empowerment, optimization, leadership transformation. But the part that made my stomach twist? She was listing our company, the very place she had been fired from, as a former client reference. It was a lie. A huge one. She was trying to piggyback on the company's name to land new contracts. I could have ignored it. I almost did. But then I thought about the way she laughed at me in Scottsdale. The way she humiliated junior employees. The way she tried to use me when she thought it could save her. No. She wasn't going to rebuild off the back of people she stepped on. I didn't make a fuss. No social media callouts. No drama. Instead, I gathered the screenshots, her website, her LinkedIn lies, her fake testimonials. Then I forwarded everything quietly to the company's legal team. They didn't play around. Within a week, Natalie got hit with a cease and desist letter. It accused her of trademark infringement, misrepresentation, and warned of further legal action if necessary. She tried to fight back, at first claiming it was standard practice to list past employers. But it wasn't. Not when you were fired for cause. Her website disappeared. Her LinkedIn got wiped. Her business folded before it even got its first real client. After the business idea failed, Natalie started getting real desperate. She filed for unemployment and was denied, because she had been terminated for cause. She tried applying for mid-level management jobs, but word got around fast. Nobody would touch her. She started showing up to industry mixers and conferences, trying to network. At one event, she even cornered an old coworker of mine, Liz, drunk and angry. Liz said Natalie ranted about how the women at company sabotaged her, that it was internalized misogyny, that jealousy had ruined her career. Word got back to me. I smiled. I didn't even need to defend myself. Everyone already knew what she was. Then came the biggest twist. Natalie filed a wrongful termination lawsuit against the company. She claimed she was fired due to discrimination, that the complaints were fabricated, that she had been targeted by jealous coworkers. It was laughable. She named me, specifically, in the documents, implying that I had led some kind of conspiracy to get her fired. At first, I was furious. How dare she? But then the company's lawyers got involved. They sat me down, explained everything. They had everything they needed to destroy her claims. The documentation, the same documentation I had sent them, was airtight. I didn't even need to testify. They crushed her case with a motion to dismiss before it ever made it to trial. The judge ruled it was meritless and frivolous. She was ordered to pay part of the company's legal fees. It was over. Really, finally over. Natalie and my brother split up a few months later. He couldn't handle the stress, the financial drain, the shame, the fights. He moved out, got his own place, started rebuilding. Natalie moved back in with her parents in New Mexico. No job. No career. No marriage. Every once in a while, someone from the old days will mention her name in a meeting, in a side conversation, and it's always the same tone. Pity. Disgust. Relief she's gone. Meanwhile, I kept working. Kept building my team. Kept smiling. Not as a cheerleader. As a leader. The real kind. About a year after Natalie lost everything, I ran into her by accident. It was at a small conference here in Denver, a client-focused event. I wasn't even supposed to go. My boss had a last-minute conflict and sent me instead. I was walking toward the coffee table, minding my own business, when I saw her. Natalie. She looked different. Thinner. Older. Tired in a way you can't fix with makeup. She didn't have a badge, she wasn't an attendee. She must have snuck in somehow, maybe hoping to network, to find some desperate opening. She spotted me before I could turn away. She froze for a second, then stormed right up to me. "You think you won, don't you?" Her voice was low and bitter, almost shaking. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "I didn't have to win, Natalie. You lost all by yourself." She flinched like I had slapped her. "You could have helped me. Family's supposed to stick together," she hissed. I shrugged. Family doesn't call you a cheerleader and expect you to cheer for them while they burn the house down. She stared at me for a long moment. There was so much hatred in her eyes, it almost made me step back. But I didn't. I stood there. I let her feel it. All the things she had built on lies, on stepping over others, were gone. And there was no one left to blame. Finally, she turned and stalked out of the conference center. That was the last time I ever saw her. Reflection: sometimes people ask me if I feel bad. If I regret helping bury her. I don't. Not because I'm heartless. Not because I enjoy other people's suffering. But because she wasn't just bad at her job, she was bad for people. She broke things that didn't belong to her. She hurt people who trusted her. She made herself a weapon and aimed it at anyone standing in her way. I just made sure, when the time came, there was nowhere for her to hide. She thought I was the cheerleader. That I was harmless. She forgot the first rule of real leadership: the ones who build quietly are the ones you should never, ever underestimate.